Hani Kenagoya. Chimigwech Gibshaik, Nelson Toulouse, the Wooding, Danjis Gamok, Canogento dem. Bangi wung quite about Dangeni, Mandani, and Noy win. Chippy Tenda with Minodish, Nin Pizzit, Migo Squatch, Yang, Mandani, Noy win by Mutuang. Ich bin Pinagwashkang, ich bin aware that Apnasik. Winip mo dot mandan wa when mi chone tasing chipi 10 da gotish mich go pane ganeshim costa go na ich bin man make manga what we the mage when treaty update ni kadash kwede when anish with p 1850 anish with p ganadzing anish p ganwing anish kashnawzing Ich bin das keine Menge, mir geht's keinem Nick, one king with Washington Minonia. So good morning, everybody. My name is Nelson Toulouse. I'm from Zgamuk. More importantly, I'm from the Pike clan, and really, this is my responsibility, sitting up here and interpreting and translating and sort of steering the discussion a little bit. I always reminder, are reminders that we need to be really reminded of the stage or of our language. It's in a very, very delicate position that we could lose it. And the example I give is myself and people of my age. We're the dying breed. We're the last of the first language speakers, which means we were born into the language. And so you can almost plan. And I hate to say extinction, but we need to plan that. We need to have everything in place before we lose these first language speakers. And hopefully, I'm healthy, and my friend Martina is healthy, and we're around at least another 20 years. So, but hopefully that goes well, and hopefully our mental health is good too at that time. So it's really important, and one of the things that's really important is the medium that captures us on video speaking, but also hears us speak. You have to hear the language spoken. You can't read it in a book because the language is spiritual. And I think that's why when we collectively get together as speakers, we basically have a different perspective on things, and we're guided by the spirituality of the language. We have words in there that are talk about the Creator all the time. It's just including language. So, with that, Chimiwech, really honored to be here to sit with these fine people, and we're going to have presentations from each one. I'll ask them to do just a brief introduction of themselves, and then they'll say they'll tell you their story. Try and if I can keep it down to 10 minutes, that'd be great. And so there's a feather being passed around, and what I'll do, I'll try and time it in a respectful way. So I'm not going to say Minik, that's it. I'll just say ahow, okay. So that'll be your warning sign. The kind of wind it down if I say ahow. I'm not going to cut you off. You cut yourself off after, and thanks. So because we need question and answers after, so we'll allow time for that. How? So I'm going to give the honor to, I guess maybe the lady, Caroline. Magiging ka much tantam. Mangigo kawain this mishno the bajamay. Amiwich.
Ani vosho. Shkaknim kibeneshi kwendishe kenimigo. Jijak endo them. We kwem kong given java. One bededash nungun de bendagos. I'm just honored to be here. I'm the newbie on the block back actually. I'm proud to be a part of and accepted by the TEK Elders to be part of their group. And so my spiel is about my spiel is to the youth. So we've talked about bringing youth and having youth discussions around a lot of this knowledge that the TEK Elders or the TEK I guess we all have TEK elders in our communities who have that knowledge. And so what we're saying to the youth is that we need the Anishinaabeg scholars to attend the university and colleges and to research our Anishinaabeg ways of knowing and being, to study Indigenous knowledge, our way of life, Indigenous science, we call it. There are Anishinaabeg scholars out there like Ballard. She's an associate professor at the Faculty of Science at the University of Manitoba, who in a recent CBC interview stated that, I think One on Earth is called, the CBC interview. And she talks about Indigenous science. It's the science of the way of knowing the land. It's a way of knowing the water, the air, everything about the earth. Knowledge of our elders, their knowledge of weather patterns, their knowledge about how species migrate, everything that Ray, our prime elder here, has been speaking about since he started the TEK Elders. She says it is this knowledge that has enabled them to survive for generations. She also speaks to the old language, the Anishinaabewan. Reminds me when Ray speaks about the spirit who visited him and motivated him to start the TEK Elders and to stop the spraying. Ray always said the spirit spoke in the old language. That spirit awakened something in him when he spoke in the old language. It spoke to his spirit. And you know, when that Anishinaabe when is spoken, that spirit in that language does speak to you. I was raised, and I come to know that as a child growing up with my mom, who was also a very fluent speaker in the Anishinaabe language. And she used to take me to lots of funerals we used to have, and wakes. And I remember being at those wakes and all the elders being there and talking in that language. And that, you know, and you pick that up. The vibration is in there, the spirit. And even though I went out and off to school and went off reserve and did a lot of my time off reserve and kind of forgot how to speak the language because it wasn't around me. But when I came back home and I was talking to an elder, and the elder spoke in the language when he was giving me a teaching, I remembered, my spirit remembered. My mind couldn't understand the exact word interpretation, but my spirit did, and it brought me back home to that place of my spirit, which I had gone to sleep for a long time while I was out there in the city, and that happens to us, right? So for me, it's a direct experience that I've had with that relationship with spirit. So I understood what Ray was talking about when he talked about the elder talking to him in the language. And what Ballard says in her research about Indigenous languages, the Anishinaabewan, she says, the Anishinaabewan has a scientific management tool embedded within it. Her research looks at what Indigenous languages reveal about local ecosystems. As Anishinaabewan speakers, we have words for various spaces and places right across the country that are very significant to the natural state of the ecosystem. So that knowledge exists, and we need our Indigenous scholars, our young people, to go out there and put it into the language of the academics so that we can speak to the scientists, you know, on that level, so that they can understand what our elders are saying. And we can understand what our elders have been saying all along. They're the ones that spend all that time in the bush, and they've studied the ecosystem, and you know, they live their life by knowing that and having that knowledge. And it's important that we bring that forward. And I know you'll give me a heads up when I'm
I will.
done. Okay, because I have lots of notes here, and I just want to stick to my time. So when I say Indigenous science is the science of a way of knowing the land, it's a way of knowing the water. I think I already said that. So about the Earth Mother, the knowledge of weather patterns, knowledge of how species migrate. I've heard a lot of elders talking about, a lot of our animals are migrating up north. And when that happens, there's a knowing to that. Okay. So the TEK elders on this territory are saying, stop that spraying. Say, Ray always says, no, stop. We don't want that spraying happening in our territory. So that's the primary goal of the TEK elders, is to ask the provincial government to stop that spraying. It's happened in other places. I did a quick scan around what our scholars are saying about across the literature in the academic world. So they're saying the destructing of our Anishinaabe food sources, our homes, and medicines violate our spiritual, physical, emotional, and social well-being in ways that are similar to traumatic, violent assault. The physical environment and connections to land have both been noted as critical elements of health for Indigenous populations, as by reading 2009 and his group. Indigenous groups have equated the decline of their traditional territories as a process akin to either a family dying or a physical dismemberment. As traditional custodians of the land, dispossessed Indigenous people have lost their primary reasons for being, that being said from King from 2009. As Anishinaabe TEK elders, we believe that the devastation of our lands through globalization and commercial exploitation and climate change is equivalent to the same physical assault. So I just want to also say that the Declaration of Indigenous Peoples Act has been passed by the Canadian government, and there they just released a statement in September 2022 about how they're going to start implementing that in Canada, and we need to be involved in that. So, miigwech.
Chimiigwech, Caroline. Lots of really strong messages that you put out there, and I really hope that the youth will get involved. Maybe you can hear some questions afterwards. So, Chimiigwech. I'm going to leave Janet and Ray for the end, because I think we're going to be spending a lot of time in what you guys are saying. So next, we'll pass it to Alan, and he can give you. You said it's going to be brief, so go ahead.
Brief, yeah. Miigwech.
Tell us who you are.
Alan McDonald. I'm a NV Inlet band member. I've lived in Garden River for 25 years or so, but I grew up in that area, so I'm actually from that area. I got involved with the TEK group through Joe Jones, who used to come over for coffee quite often, and we were always talking about this. And so one day he says, "Why don't you join?" And so here I am. But the glyphosate is basically, the government says they need it to help their forests. And I actually know somebody that works in that area, and him and I've had the conversation where he's telling me our scientists, which is the ministry scientists, say it's safe, and and I tell him, well, you need new scientists. So I recently gave him some information about earthworms, and it showed that there's been studies, an independent study by university, on the damage it does to earthworms. So if it does that to earthworms, just imagine what it does to everything else. They diluted the glyphosate sample by 300 times less than the recommended dosage. And what it did was it sent the earthworms into convulsions, and they eventually basically killed them. So, and this is in the earth, right? This is where they spray this stuff. They spray it on the vegetation, but it goes into the earth. They say it doesn't, the half-life is so short that it doesn't go into the water, which we now know that's not true. It's in everyone. And they've done studies where 80% of the people they tested have glyphosate in them. The, the glyphosate contamination, it's in cereals, it's in oat products, it's in pasta, it's in crackers. In 2019, further studies found that all wheat-based foods tested have glyphosate, including chickpeas, flour, pizza, and lentils. Despite the EPA's stance, studies found a 41 to 70% increase risk of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and bladder cancer. So meanwhile, they're claiming that it's safe. Clearly, we know it's not. So Germany has a national-wide ban, and it's going to be a total ban in 2023. So ironically, Bayer, who now bought out Monsanto, who Monsanto produced this, and Monsanto, they've produced DDT, Agent Orange, and it goes on and on. It's not very much of it is good chemicals. So Bayer is from Germany. They bought Monsanto in 2018, and Germany has banned the use of glyphosate. If this company, they're one of their companies, is banning it, to me that's a pretty clear indication that they know there's something wrong. 40 countries have some sort of ban or restriction. Quebec banned it in 2001, yet Ontario increases its use. There's many non-Indigenous, non-Native organizations that are fighting this fight as well, and I think that's what the allies there are. We need them. This is not just a fight with the TEK Elders, and it's a national issue. It's a worldwide issue. There's the Stop the Spray Canada movement, and I encourage you to go on. You can Google it, and it has a long list of information on it. And so there's the Safe Food Matters, Equal Justice, represented by David Suzuki Foundation, Environmental Defense Canada, Friends of the Earth Canada. These are all organizations that are going after the glyphosate spraying, not just in the forests, and that's what we are talking about, but it's even more so used in agricultural. So recently, Chapleau Cree, Missinabie Cree, and Brunswick House have just taken the government to court over the use of the glyphosate in their area, and so I think it's a good idea that we support them. I wonder why. Why wouldn't we? What the Crown is saying is that usually it amounts to less than 2% of the forests are sprayed, but approximately 170,000 acres per year are sprayed. So at the end of the day, I don't see that the government is really listening. When you listen to we're here celebrating the litigation, or the Robinson here, 1850 Robinson here on Treaty Week, and you see that the government wants to take the court for everything, just they're not doing the right thing, right? In my opinion, they should just do the right thing, but the government really, in my opinion, does not listen. And so, miigwech.
Okay, miigwech, Alan. You're going to be sharing your notes, right?
I can. I just made some handwritten notes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of really relevant stuff that you shared with us, and so I think it'll be very, very important that we have those notes, those various approaches in fighting this spread of poison.
Hello? Sorry.
So with that, I'm going to take it to our friend Joe Jones from Tigan Zibing, Ohanichken. Go ahead.
Miigwech, Nelson, a good friend. Morning, everybody. Morning. That's my Mishnah reading and then Start over. Good morning, everyone. My English name is Joe Jones. My Anishinaabe name is Makanak, Nishnakas, Totomashi, Taganzi Bing. Glyphosate, aerial spraying, clear cutting. That's the reason why they do the aerial spraying, clear cutting. In my Anishinaabe way of life, they killed Mother Earth twice with all the clear cutting, nothing left. And they only want the one tree to grow, which is the money tree, is which the government is looking for, the Ministry of Natural Resources, the government, the environment, and the health. They look at value as a dollar. With this aerial spraying, we look at Anishinaabe value, life. For us today that sit here, and the people, the generation that we created, and the next to come, 5 more, 7 generations ahead of life for our people. When that aerial spraying hits the places where they want, it goes into our mother. And the woman out here that sit with us today, I respect you very much with honor. To give us life and to honor life is to respect it. In our way of life, our battles are always with the governments. Not listening to the truth of what our people are bringing forward. They're killing our way of life. They're killing not only our way of life, but they're killing all life. I mean, the life that people do not see sometimes out there in Mother Nature. When you can stand by the riverbank, hear the water, feel that heat from the sun, and the wind blowing. It's a combination of life that's in our hearts. And when we feel that, when I feel it out there with the aerial spraying, we're slowly dying. I mean, Mother Earth is slowly dying from all the toxins that are out there. And we, as TEK Elders, are responsible today, as much as possible, with the aerial spraying. No more aerial spraying. We need help from all people to get this done. ASP. How long will it continue to spray? When will our people wake up and unite together as one and have one voice? The stronger we are. But like I said, when you're standing out there on a beautiful sunny day, the feeling within my heart goes out to the destruction of that aerial spraying. It's in the water where our fish live, where that pike swims. We all go in there. And when you say we are natural people, we are. That spirit is natural. And our ancestry are still there, leading us in a way that it's in our heart to understand all this Anishinaabe way of life. So when we begin to understand our Anishinaabe way of life, we begin to understand the true meaning of my own self. I'll talk about myself, learning our way of life. And I learned that from being on Mother Earth constantly. Every day, the morning sunrise, that we live today in a good, honorable way and speak with our ancestry. Aerial spraying is the disaster. It's in many forms, in our foods, in our perfumes, all life. And to understand my words, is to believe in myself what our ancestry has taught us, our parents, our grandparents, and our grandmothers and grandfathers. And when we begin to understand that, standing out there again, you could hear them. Not only hear them, you can feel them within inside you, in that heart of ours again. It brings out the best of us in our good intentions of all that lives. And we need our people to grow inside in our hearts and in our minds and our spirituality, to become in tune to what's happening to our world of Mother Nature. That's who we are, the spirit of Mother Nature. Our ancestry has brought us here today, and they suffered through a lot, schools and everything else. Ever since they landed here, they wanted this land. We never gave it up. We never surrendered. And the fight continues with aerial spraying. Aha, miigwech.
Chimiwech, Joe. Very inspiring words about people and the need for people, and certainly for the future, our youth, to ensure that we go back to what we were in 1850 and take our responsibilities back. And there's all kinds of friends out there that are sort of fighting the same fight, but we need to collectively and educate ourselves and sort of join the forces and fight this poison that's killing us. And it's hidden in many, many different things. Chimiwech, Joe. Janet, Ray, before you start, Janet, I just want to say that Ray is the inspiration, the face, and the voice of why we're here doing this presentation. Ray will tell a story, but I just want to say that because it's terribly, terribly important. It's part of our DNA. It's part of our DNA, and everybody here at the panel talks about our responsibilities. So that's what it is. So with that, Ray, take it away, Ray.
Ani. Nishna bene kasko ano bo. Sigamok Dutchba. I'm from Sagamok. We use that don't speak Indian. I know there's many of them, many of yous, and many of yous that speak the language only, and those are very, very few. So what I'm going to say is going to be, I don't know, maybe it might trigger something. It just might. You might be more fluent in Indian. You might be more fluent in English, which is good for you because that's today's language. And the old language, that's slowly going out, unless we bring it back up. We gestot nishnabemot. When we go nishnabemot, the kendanyo. Oh, this those nagisponde. We an knot money anish. We are make. And om de make. Als ik ken dan en om de man. Gosh, on het wees nuggies, on het went punze. It's going to be hard for you, either one way or the other. I can talk either Indian or Saganash. It don't matter. You got to know them to go him see.
So he doesn't speak French.
Gan indad se sinyo. Sagana shibi gan ni knomago was English that was brought to me. That's what I was learned in residential school. How to write in English. So I'm stuck in English. It was French school. It would have been French school. But it isn't. I had to learn English. And I didn't lose my language. I only went to school 6 years. 6 years I went to school, and then after that I came back out and I continued my education. Education. That doesn't mean writing and reading. I learned what the nature, everything. Ni kendan, bish. Minoi bem bedek, bem semagok. Ni kendanyo. I learned all that. I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way to where all has come from. It's hard. It's easy in a way. It's easy. But it's hard to remember why this thing is there. The plants. You learn the plants. You learn very early all about plants. Why each plant is there. Each plant, whatever it grows, it might be nothing to you, but somebody else will pick it up and say that, hey, I know that plant. I know it's for. So he knows. He's got that. Somebody taught him that what that plant is. It goes on. Binge, bish. Ni benashna usagigo. We see is in cause a creature. We see, you know, guide nishab madsino. They're there for some reason that you don't understand. You don't have enough time. You don't grow enough to understand unless you're really, really smart. But you're too busy. You're too busy growing up everything, learning everything else. It takes too long to learn nature, but it's actually very simple. It does not stay in you. Anything that's written in English, no matter what it is not there forever. You can't learn from it. But nature itself, you learn every day something. Ma pisgun jibon avoid me with a kenman kinegego. Kunima. You shouldn't give cinnamon. If you listen while you're growing up, you might learn something. Niyo madsyon isnikadik. Kagum mampin bimajashin we can Kegui, Manzun. I'm not here to teach you all about life. It's you got to learn. But you got to learn everything else besides that. So I can't teach you anything. Just what I know, which is very little. Very little what I know. I'm 80 years old. And I already had, they say I had, what keeps calling me, what is it? What is it, what you call me?
Honey,
No. No.
you trying to explain your
Yeah.
stroke?
Yeah, when you call me second childhood. Ni sing out mo ba yin da win da sin. Me yo. Me no ge wo din tau ne ndam ge wo. Me ne shreb sin you when you get older you're going to forget. There are things that you're going to forget. But those will come back. Those will come back, but in different terms. You may not know what that word means, but you know that it means something. And you're going to concentrate on it, work on it, that you don't know. You don't let your neighbors know that you're working on that. So, there you go. That's life. Now, can I go on? We can done. Bisen done. Bisen done where they go win Margo. Got what we remember there's no toga. Bisen done. The can done go no chippies in. Mi minakini mana wa kirian I nongo pichikis kok ma pi mi nong guding gunema kinano ndam kiko mucha kiko kirian manda nongo manda I kaya go ni nam dasin manda we jebs yan. I didn't know today was going to be like this today. I know I had to speak on something, but I didn't think it was going to be this, how this, it's not dreadful. It's not hard. It's something that you have to do because you learn through life. What you learn through life, you should share it. Share that with knowledge which you have. And that way somebody else can learn off you. Have time to learn. Can't be all sitting around waiting around for somebody to tell you. Just, take time to learn. I'd like to thank you. If you listen to me today, what I mean by second choice. Ekuni sing non dam. Me which.
Okay. I'm Miigwech, Ray. There's some really, Ray mixed a little bit of English, so you might have probably understood that part. But there's a lot of stuff that he says. One very profound thing. He says, I hope that what I say does something to you, that it inspires something in you. Old language is disappearing. It's really, really important. Learning isn't easy. He talks about languages. He learned English in residential school, and then they taught him how to write in English, and somehow he's stuck with it. when he left residential school, he said he started his real education, and that's about learning the environment at a very pretty young age. And he said, it's really simple. It can be really simple to understand. All you need to do is pick up a plant and understand what it is and what purpose it serves. And a lot of people don't realize this, but some people do. They see different things and they begin to understand why and how those plants are put on here on Earth. So everyone has to learn to, have this knowledge and most of all, appreciate it. Appreciate the knowledge and the things that are put there. There's so many different types of animals and fish, and he talked about that. And really, everybody needs to begin to learn. You can't say you're too busy to learn. The environment is being threatened, deteriorating, so we all need to stop being too busy to learn. That's a really big message that he said a few times. And so you may learn if you listen. I mean, that's the message. You got to listen to learn. He's 80 years old, and I guess and Janet tells him that he's born again. Except he's born again, and this time when he's born, his memory isn't as sharp as it was in his first life. And so, but it's there. It's there, and sometimes he doesn't know at that instant, but he knows afterwards. And it's just like coming here. He said, I kind of knew I was going to come here, but didn't know why. But he knew I had to speak. So I guess that's the thing about getting older. You lose certain things, but actually you don't lose them. They're there. You just need to be reminded. So the main message, is in this world, we need to really stop and listen. That's how we're going to learn. So I'm going to turn it over to his partner. She's been involved right along the whole process. Janet, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. The name I was given, it's on a birth certificate. I was born Janet Patterson. My spirit name is Wapshka Nimkikwe. I reside in Sagamuk, and I've been with my life partner here for 40 years. And I'd like to tell you that this is going to be a hard act to follow from him. But in the 40 years I've been with Raymond, he speaks of being reborn. I grew up in a colonial community where you're taught to achieve, find the big goals with the big money and get the big house, and you're going to live happily ever after. You'll marry your prince and all that sort of stuff. My worldview has been dramatically changed in the 40 years I've been with Raymond. I'm whole. I don't know how else to explain it to you. The worldview I carry is from all the teachings that he gave me. Living off the land, raising animals, growing food, going hunting. He even bought me a gun. I could shoot my own moose, so I'm transformed to a peaceful person who really understands the interconnectedness that we all have with all of our relations. And I'm not talking about people relations. I speak clearly to the land, the water, the air, the moose, the deer, the trees. We are all interconnected. And in our communities, we understand that. That's what's being taught to us. The message has to go out to the colonial peoples. It's a money-making industry using glyphosate, but it's going to kill all of us. Nature around us is slowly deteriorating to nothing. Hunting is not as easy as it was. Picking berries, medicines, it's all very, very different. And as we are here on Treaty Week, we're honoring the treaty this week, I think of what Brenda Rivers from my community taught us. She says that the interpretation of the treaty is that we're supposed to be in two canoes going down the river, basically at the same time, but never jumping into each other's boat. Just live in harmony, in reciprocity, and we will all live a healthy life. But that doesn't exist. They keep jumping into our boat and telling us what to do. I'd like to acknowledge Nokomis Martina for her very insightful prayer, because it really touched me when she spoke about, giving grace and thanks to all nature around us, but she spoke of the children. And this is what really affects me in my thinking, in that we are all connected to the past, the ancestors who guide us. We're all connected to those who came before us. We are connected to the present, because what we do right now impacts the future. So when we continually take from the land, we as everybody, and we don't give thanks, and we don't give tobacco, and our intention is not of a good way, then we are robbing those who haven't come yet. They know us. We just don't know them. And when they come here, they're going to look around and wonder, what did we do? All peoples have to really, we have to educate. That's my purpose to be here today, is my sharing of the website for the petition that Jennifer Beschwald, she has initiated this petition with the government. She's the director of the film Into the Weeds. Her contribution to the TEK movement is to initiate this petition. So I've distributed the little QR code. I don't even know that language, but that little code that can get you online, or I have paper copies, so you're more than welcome. I encourage you to come and sign it. What else do I want to say? Sorry, too many notes. I shouldn't do this. Yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to say. I know we can teach the others what this is all about, because I learned it. I learned what it's like to be humble, whole, and purposeful in my life. Like as a mother, a wife, a grandmother, I have purpose to give them, like Raymond said, you listen, you learn, and you teach. And this is how we maintain survival on this planet. This is not all about money. The whole world has to come to that realization. I've spoken from the heart. Obviously, I had a little bit of cheat sheets here, but it's not as important as what I feel. I'm very proud of Raymond. I'm very proud of what he has done. His vision, like this started, is all a spiritual journey. The whole thing is spiritual. We're guided by spirit. The first time he had the vision, we were all together in the room, and he rather looked startled, and he told us to be quiet. And he was seeing this ancestor in front of him. He was a real old Anishinaabe. He had on a blue shirt, and he was facing the opposite direction. He was sitting on a really long bench. And he tells us that he did not understand the words. It wasn't clear to him what was being said, because it was an old dialect. He had 2 more visions since that time. And I've often wondered, what is the significance of the bench? And I started to think, okay, so we've met these lovely people. We've met Sue Chibolo. We've met a lot of people along the way who've helped us write our letters and do our demonstrations. That's not the totality of that bench. The bench is the people, all the people. All of the people, the colonial people, everybody, we all have to get on that bench and stop the destruction of the forest, the food, everything that we depend on for our own survival and the survival of the children that are yet to come. Miigwech.
Miigwech and Janet, there's so much messaging going on, and sometimes, especially Ray and Joe, they talk about traditional values, and if we look at our own personal lives, and that knowledge actually comes back from a long, long way. I mean, Ray's ancestor that basically spoke to his spirit. When was that? I mean, how far back do we go with that knowledge? So when we say, in 1850, when the treaty was being negotiated and eventually signed, who were we as a people? I mean, I think that's what we're saying here is we need to collectively get back to who we were as a people back then. There's so many messages, that have been reinforced over and over again. Update the kina and ching gapska even gaben chibang. We need to go back to where we came from and begin to understand. So it's open to questions. Is any questions either online or here? This is an opportunity to ask questions. Okay, I see one back there.
For you, Al.
So, good morning, everybody. My name is Leroy Bennett. I think one of the, and there's a lot of good points brought up earlier through our speakers, and we say we have to help everybody get on board. But one of the things that, if you look at what science does, it dissects because it wants to understand. But in the totality of it all, really, when you look at it, we're living experiments, all of us. They say it's in the food, it's here, it's there. It's not so much, and it's affecting everything. But one of the things is that there was a little bit of a mention there that, Monsanto sold to these guys. So they're playing chess with our lives. And this is how they do it. And I think the message needs to change for all that we do. Because I do know from my own experience and some of my life experience that, in fact, it's hard to really teach somebody spirituality if they absolutely refuse to believe they have a spirit. It can be done, but it's a difficult thing. Because you're going to spend most of your time banging your head off that wall trying, this is so simple, why can't they get it? It's because they don't want to get it. They see the dollar. And the part then wanted to ask was this. Is there a way, I know through spirit ceremony, all this other stuff, but is there a way that you could somehow, I guess, be more aggressive with your language? Because everybody here today is a living experiment. Like how much more damage do we need to endure before somebody says, okay, this needs to be reworded? Because I can tell you of experience I had back in 2017 when this court case started. I visited some people I know at Gull Bay. They took me hunting. And I cut open that moose liver. And I saw with my own eyes that chemical inside that liver. So I know it's no good to eat. But, when we did our fall harvest back in our community, I cut open the liver there. It's okay. I can't tell you if it's good to eat, but it's okay. The choice is yours. But when you're looking at how all of this is going and we're busy, in a way, playing safe politics with it, because we don't want to offend other people. The reality is it's almost time to stop playing safe politics and go right at it. Because you say you want to protect the next generation, but if all we're doing is playing politics with it, you can almost guarantee today that you're already harming them anyway. They're not here yet, but you've just harmed them. So it's a matter of it's a matter of getting these young ones out there, show them that this is the damage that's being caused. It is still education, but we allow others to determine what that education is. So, there's a lot of structural weak points in all our arguments, but to me, I think if we get more aggressive with the language, we're going to get someplace. But as long as we play safe politics, we're not going to get nowhere. So that's my question is, when are you going to get more aggressive with your language in what you do?
You want that one?
Migoch.
Sure. The panel is open. Who's going to tackle it first? Alan? Or Joel?
Joe's going to go first. I don't think you're on.
Okay, understanding again, we'll go back a little bit. To understand education is to getting to know yourself again. Mother Earth provides everything for us. And it's done that through going backwards, all our life since Columbus landed here. And right up till today, understanding yourself in our Anishinaabe way of life, they say is hard. Like Ray said, it's hard to understand yourself when you don't know yourself. So one of the biggest education problems today is knowing who you are, where you come from, and what do you want to be, and what do you want to do about what's going on in this world. So to find that out, to be yourself, is like I am saying now, I know who I am, where I come from, and what I want to do. And what I would like something to happen is to stop the aerial spraying. I will say this any place, anytime, anywhere, in front of anybody, and that including Pierre. I keep calling the guy Pierre Trudeau. It's Justin Trudeau. Sorry for that mistake. But see, that's how that works. When you get to know yourself, you have the value of your honesty, truth, and respect to everybody and everything that lives. So in your hearts, we have to stand up and be proud and tell everybody, this is our home and you're destroying it. We need it to stop now, today. And that's where that comes from me, is finding my true identity as a person. And that person is Anishinaabe way of life, connected to all natural life, and that's where my spirituality is, our spirituality is. Anybody else can add to that? Go ahead. Use your own mic. we do like to have some humor once in a while, too.
Miigwech, Joe. Excellent points. Something I wanted to share to that was, if you look at the corporations, they control so much of our lives and what we do, and there's very little accountability. We talk about the annuities case. We're suing the government, but that's our money already. It's our resources. Whatever payment we get, that's already belongs to the people, right? The government is supposed to be the administrators of our resources, and whether they do a good job or not with that is I guess that's your personal opinion. But so many of these corporations have come here and taken huge amounts of resources away from here, and we deal with money. I mean, how we used to trade before is totally different now, right? The money is the value of the trade now. A lot of the money from here goes overseas or goes to China, Bayer Corporation is from Germany. So the money leaves here. The issue for me personally that I have is when we go after the government for whatever it is, they're just giving us our money back. Like, what happens? What about all the money, the multi-billionaires that have become that rich from the resources from this country or from our lands? So my question kind of is, why are we not going after them, after the corporation? North of Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma Central Railway was given 150,000 acres. They've, the next year they turned around and sold it. They leveraged their fleet of ships. Now, as what I understand is a Chinese corporation bought out that land that the corporation owned, and now that money is going overseas. So, I mean, that's a real issue we have here. So, anyways, miigwech.
Okay, miigwech. With that, I guess we're trying to get back into a schedule. I want to thank everybody for being here,
For now.
and our panelists. A lot of wisdom and knowledge being shared, and we're going to be here certainly all day today, and possibly the next day. I'm not sure, but anyway, don't be shy. Ask questions, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to share their knowledge with you. So, miigwech kenawe, miigwech.
Oh, miigwech Nelson.